First at 5. From the University of Florida's College of Journalism and Communications, you're watching WUFT News.
On Friday, we showed you state lawmakers scolding Gainesville leaders over an audit showing huge debt at the city-owned utility, GRU. Today, we can show you the City Commission scrambling to begin the discussions about possible hard choices to change the equation. There are many moves that could reduce debt or reduce the city's dependency on repurposing tens of millions in GRU revenue each year. Some commissioners today defended having a city-owned utility, despite lawmakers suggesting that some of GRU's businesses might need to be sold off.
But I look forward to it, and I look forward to staff bringing back a lot of our options so that we understand and so that we don't make a rash decision one way or the other.
Public comments. Some longtime critics agreed GRU would operate well if not for past commission decisions that turned out poorly.
An update from the Williston PD Chief of Police. The suspects in a Williston murder investigation are in custody. 22-year-old Contavious Brown and 20-year-old Isaac Williams are being held with no bond for the murder of Malik Hall. According to the Williston Police Chief Mike Rolls, Williams turned himself in. Brown was found with the help of the United States Marshals Florida Caribbean Regional Fugitive Task Force, the Williston Police Department, and the Levy County Sheriff's Office. They are both being charged with first-degree premeditated murder.
Alachua County officials are trying to take custody of a group of cats they say a Gainesville woman neglected. The case is scheduled for court this week. Earlier this month, authorities removed 12 cats from a home in northeast Gainesville near Tom Petty Park. 2 had died. A veterinarian examined the others. Court documents include photos of the cats and the images of the home, which the vet described as deplorable. The vet's report stated the cats were infested with fleas and that some suffered from respiratory infections due to extreme amounts of feces and urine. 3 more cats were later turned over to the animal shelter. The county is seeking to have the homeowner, Patricia Garibaldi, declared unfit to even possess animals again. Okay, Julianna, did you go to anything special over the weekend?
Well, yes, I did get to lay up at my pool and play some beach volleyball. It was a scorching hot weekend, but I have to say I did love it.
I know, it was very, very, very hot. WUFT's Daniella Rudolph joins us now with the weather forecast. Daniella, how long do we get to enjoy this hot weather?
Thank you, ladies. So although we are living it up here in Florida, the rest of the central nation hasn't been as lucky as we are. We have been developing and tracking this development of the storms that have been sweeping across the central parts of the nation over the last 24 hours, but we'll get into it more later on in the forecast, so definitely stay with us. Taking a look a little more local, we have a chance for a few stray showers in the panhandle, slight cumulonimbus clouds overhead, but not really anything to worry about precipitation-wise for the remainder of the day. Taking a look at our campus cam right now. It's 78 right now, slightly gusty winds around 23 miles per hour. It's looking overcast, but it is going to be remaining like that for the remainder of the evening, but it's going to stay feeling wonderful. Looking at the temperatures, if you are heading out on the town tonight, starting out at 74, 6 p.m. As I said, it's going to be partly cloudy. That trend is going to be remaining for the remainder of the evening. Around 10 p.m. is where it's going to start becoming mostly cloudy. It's 66 degrees at 10 p.m. However, those clouds are going to be keeping in some heat, so it's not actually going to be as cold as the temperatures say, so you don't even need a jacket if you are heading out on the town tonight. It's actually going to be a really, really nice one. Back to you, ladies.
Thanks, Daniella. A group of 5 UF Public Relations students educate the local community on misinformation. They're competing in the Bateman Case Study competition, partnering with the News Literary Project. The UF group surveyed 300 people in Gainesville. The results? 70% of people had been affected by misinformation in some way, and 92% believe misinformation is dangerous. UF student William Bullen says the most glaring discovery was that social media was the least trusted news source, yet it was the most used. On the flip side, print media was viewed as the most trusted, but read the least. Gainesville Mayor Harvey Ward will sign a proclamation Thursday saying misinformation needs to stop. The group will be recognized at City Hall.
Until regulations by either the government or by these social media platforms are put in place to curb the spread, it's on all of us to do our part to get the facts before we act.
The students will continue tabling, presenting, and listening through March 6th. They'll find out if they win in April.
A Florida representative is taking action against the rise in anti-Semitism with a new bill that would increase its consequences. House Bill 269, Public Nuances, is authored by Representative Mike Caruso and Representative Randy Fine. This bill comes after a series of anti-Semitic incidents in the state of Florida. One recent example includes an anti-Semitic message projected outside of the TIAA bank field in Jacksonville during the Florida-Georgia game. Under the bill, penalties will be enforced for anti-Semitic acts such as projecting an image outdoors onto property without written consent, distributing flyers in a public place involving religious material, harassing people wearing religious-based garments associated with a particular religion, injuring any property that evidences religious motivation, and interrupting the assembly of worship.
Governor DeSantis is giving himself more power over Disney World with a bill he signed today. DeSantis made a trip to Orlando to take the latest step in the state takeover of the Reedy Creek Improvement District. That's the authority that has been governing the Disney World Resort for the past 50 years. This new legislation will allow DeSantis to handpick the 5 new members of the board. It also restricts Disney's eminent domain and removes its tax privileges and some of the development power. Here's what DeSantis had to say after signing the bill.
Today, the corporate kingdom finally comes to an end. There's a new sheriff in town, and accountability will be the order of the day.
The takeover has largely been seen as a way to punish Disney for speaking out against DeSantis' political agenda. Walt Disney World Resort's president says the company is ready to work within this new framework.
And University of Florida student Caroline Murray is on a mission. Caroline is determined to bike from Seattle to San Diego this summer. WUFT's reporter Cristina Santiago has more information on Caroline's mission.
Caroline is a team member of Pedal the Pacific. This nonprofit uses bikes as a platform to ignite a change. A group of 10 women will bike 1,700 miles along the Pacific coast to advocate against sex trafficking.
University of Florida student Caroline Murray is gearing up to bike 1,700 miles this summer in order to spread a message. She will be biking along the Pacific on behalf of a nonprofit organization called Pedal the Pacific. This is what she hopes to accomplish.
Put my voice into my community and be an advocate for human trafficking, because it's definitely a topic that people don't talk about.
She will be among the 10 college-aged women who will use their bikes in hopes of making a difference.
So we're really just using our bikes as a platform to be able to talk about it, because since it is so extreme, people are asking, oh, why are you doing that? What would make you do that? And then we can tell them, and we can educate them. So that's really exciting that we get to do that.
Founder and executive director Savannah Lovelace was one of the 3 women who founded the organization in 2017.
When we said, like, we're going to cycle down the Pacific coast, we knew that our friends and family were going to be like, you're not athletic, like you've never done a sport, like what compels you to do this? And then we would be able to have a platform to talk about the reality of sex trafficking in a non-intimidating way.
As a new team member, Caroline is determined to use this unique platform to educate others.
In terms of like myths, like it's just not like taken or anything like that. And I think that that's definitely like what people think of. And I think also too, I think a lot of people don't want to talk about it because they almost like cannot imagine like that's actually going on in their communities, or what it really looks like. So I definitely encourage people to educate themselves, and like I'm happy to educate anyone.
You can learn more about the cause and access resources at pedalthepacific.org.
Thanks, Cristina. What an amazing way to raise awareness for a cause. And a town known for their staple shellfish has run its main resource dry.
And scientists are working to build a better environment for one species.
Coming up on WUFT News, first at 5. Will this region's ecosystem and economy be able to bounce back to their former glory? We'll find out after the break.
You're watching WUFT TV News.
Welcome back. It's been 2.5 years since the state of Florida made the decision to close Apalachicola Bay to oyster harvesters. The water has been quiet since then, but researchers have been hard at work behind the scenes to reopen the bay as soon as possible.
WFT's Ophelie Jacobson went to Florida's Forgotten Coast to get an update on how that research is going. Ophelie?
Yeah, well, they're making significant progress at the Florida State University Coastal and Marine Lab. One of the lead researchers of this project says the team has big plans for restoration experiments this summer. In a place known as Oyster Town,
it's a generational lifestyle.
You would expect to find oysters, and you can, but they come from other states.
It's a lot of incurred costs.
It's a price local restaurants pay to keep customers happy. Before 2020, finding oysters wasn't an issue. The Apalachicola Bay was filled with boats, producing 90% of the state's oyster supply.
You would always see seafood workers out there, oyster harvesting and, going back and forth, bringing in seafood.
Now it's empty.
You don't see anything. It's like the breed is dying.
Harvesting was banned 2.5 years ago due to a depleting oyster population. Since then, researchers have been studying how certain materials can restore oyster reefs.
And I think we're really starting to kind of narrow down in on exactly what's the right kind of substrate, how high the reef should be, how much material has to be put out.
The FWC and ABC hope to have material in the water this summer.
I think there's lots of reason to be optimistic about the recovery of the bay.
A clear sign of progress as the state works towards a target date of December 31st, 2025 for reopening. However,
they didn't say they would automatically reopen the bay no matter what.
That all depends on the success of recovery efforts. A decision will be made based on science.
The data suggests that we have to be patient, because if we allow people to just go out and remove what's there, we'll just set ourselves back.
And when the bay does reopen,
it's going to be great.
But it may not be the same as it was.
I don't think return to normal is the expectation, because I think there's going to be a new normal.
A new normal will be better than nothing.
We're hopeful if it does come back.
For an industry that has been gone, but certainly not forgotten. In Apalachicola, Ophelie Jacobson, WUFT News.
Thanks, Ophelie. Over the weekend, a line of storms gusted its way across the southern half of the states in Kansas and the Texas-Oklahoma Panhandle. Areas northwest of Dallas-Fort Worth saw strong to severe thunderstorms and damaging wind gusts. In a tweet Sunday, the Texas Department of Transportation in Dallas said motorists should be aware of weather conditions. And here you'll see chopper video of damage in Oklahoma after a suspected tornado moved through the state Sunday night. This was in Shawn and surrounding areas. You can see many homes had their roofs ripped off. Trees were toppled, power poles were knocked down. So we have been tracking this severe storm for almost 24 hours.
Jeez, I hope we're going to be okay here. Daniella, what can you tell us about this?
Well, ladies, there were nearly 200 wind, tornado, and hail reports yesterday, with severe storms, strong storms, will miss U.S. locally, but I'm tracking a cold front, which will bring a few showers. I'll be out there, and the shower chances are coming out.
You're watching WUFT TV News.
So, of course, on everyone's minds right now are those storms that have been sweeping across the central part of the nation over the last 24 hours. Taking a look at our list of hazards, it's spanning from severe thunderstorms to tornadoes to hail and rain. So we're going to be tracking that coming in the next few days. But let's take a look at what you can expect a little more locally. Something that is really important to understand when it comes to these severe weather events is the difference between a warning and a watch. So because we have been seeing those damaging potential tornadoes sweeping across the central parts, let's take a look at what a tornado watch means. So this means that the conditions are favorable, tornadoes are possible, but this is where you watch for it. You stay weather alert and you keep yourself in the loop with what is happening. However, when a warning is issued, it means that a tornado has formed. This danger is imminent. It is time to seek shelter and act immediately so that you can ensure that you can keep yourself and your family safe. But coming a little more local, looking at our hour by hour for the remainder of the evening, starting out now at 6 p.m., 74, dipping into those mid to high 60s. But again, we are going to be partly cloudy, so it's going to be feeling a little warmer than what the temperatures are saying. So if you are heading out, I wouldn't really stress about anything, but taking a look at our future radar, those warm temperatures aren't really going to be lasting that long. You saw briefly that cold front is going to be sweeping into our parts over the next few days. Looking at tomorrow morning, rain-wise, precipitation, there are a few stray showers up towards the north at 8 a.m. However, if you are staying a little more locally in the Gainesville-Ocala region, around the lunch hour, we could be expecting a few stray showers. It's not a 100% possibility, so I would pack an umbrella just in case, just to play it safe. But going later on into the evening, it's going to be clearing up for a clear evening. So the temperatures are going to be warming up. Taking a look at tomorrow, if you are heading out to campus, heading out for your morning commute, we're going to be starting off the day at 66 degrees. Again, we might have a few sprinkles, a few showers here and there, but nothing really to worry about going into the rest of your day, warming up to 81, a nice big jump for temperature wise. However, we are going to be seeing some of that gradual clearing, so it may feel a little cooler, but the skies and the sun is going to be out. Taking a look at our temperatures right now, it's relatively warm right now, 81 here in Gainesville, in that mid 70s to 80s range, except for Cedar Key, which is 72. So it's feeling warm for the remainder of the day. Taking a look at our week ahead, it is going to be staying warm. So if you are wondering why we're staying warm and why we're seeing such severe weather threats across the nation, you can say a big thank you to our jet streams. This is essentially just an area that separates this very cold air up here and this very warm air down here. So how weather works is we have these two air masses that are fighting each other essentially. The greater the fight, the greater the weather. Thank you. Back to you.
Hey, Isabella. Kennedy, how's your back handspring?
No worries. Well, my front flip is awful, so, I'll keep my feet on the ground. But Shawn, what about you?
Well, if I try to do a handspring, I'll tear my hamstring. My mom watches this show. I'd rather keep myself in one piece. Trinity Thomas is healthy and she's still one of the absolute best. Gator Gymnastics continued its run of excellence on Friday. The O-Dome crowd had a chance to give her her flowers one last time. I'll have that and more with sports after the break.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
Well, just days after he became Alabama's linebackers coach, former Southern Miss defensive coordinator Austin Armstrong is on the move. Florida named Armstrong its DC today. He reunites with Gators head coach Billy Napier after serving on Napier's staff at Louisiana. Armstrong inherits a defense that tied for 10th in the conference for points allowed per game. The unit also finished 12th in yards allowed per game. Florida's spring football game is April 13th. Fans at the Stephen C. O'Connell Center got to see their second-ranked Gators gymnastics team one last time on Friday. It was a bittersweet night, tumbles and tears, but nonetheless, the celebration was on. The Gators beat number 12 Kentucky and clinched their 5th straight SEC title. The team celebrated its 6 seniors, including 27-time All-American Trinity Thomas. If I didn't have a time limit, I could practically spend this entire segment talking about Thomas's accomplishments. The super senior has been an absolute phenom during her time as a Gator. She is a 2-time SEC Gymnast of the Year and a record 16-time SEC Gymnast of the Week. She was also last year's Honda Award winner as the nation's top collegiate gymnast. Thomas has also scored a perfect 10 25 times. With 4 meets left in the regular season, she is 3 10s away from tying the NCAA record. The Gators will need them on Friday when they take on number 1 Oklahoma, the team that beat them for the national championship last season. Sunday was a busy day for ears around Gainesville, but was it church bells, the Century Tower Carillon, or just the Gators hitting dingers? If I'm being honest, it might have been the latter. Jack Caglione mashed 3 of Florida's program record 8 home runs against Cincinnati, and he started the game on the mound. 6 strikeouts through 4 2/3, and his last home run still hasn't landed. 462-foot moonshot to right field. Buzz Aldrin has a lump on his noggin. Caglione, co-SEC Player of the Week, 13-7 Florida. They'll be back in action at Jacksonville on Tuesday. The season has slowed to a slog for Gator men's basketball since senior Colin Castleton broke his hand against Ole Miss. Then to make matters worse, Jerry Stackhouse's Vanderbilt Commodores swept Todd Golden's squad this season. Vanderbilt center Liam Robbins had another big night, finishing with 18 against Florida on Saturday. 6 double-figure scores for the Commodores. Riley Kugel was a bright spot for the Orange and Blue. He poured in 20 points on an otherwise abysmal day for Florida. 88-72 Vandy. Gator women's basketball finished its regular season strong. They beat the Missouri Tigers 61-52 on Mizzou's Senior Day. On Wednesday, Florida will play the Kentucky Wildcats in the SEC tournament. Winning the conference championship might be the only thing that gets the Gators into March Madness. Locally, Hawthorne girls basketball left Lakeland the Class 1A state champions on Friday. Cornelius Ingram's team beat the Wildwood Panthers 42-38. For the Hawthorne girls, it was the second state title in program history. For head coach Cornelius Ingram, it was his second of the school year. Hawthorne's football team won its first state title this fall.
Our girls did an awesome job of just understanding the film when we watched it with the quick turnaround and trusting the game plan. The girls executed it to the T, man. I'm so proud of them.
Wow, a huge congratulations to Hawthorne. BBC World News is next, and the PBS News Hour is coming up at 7.
But your Florida news is always on at WFT.org. Have a good night.